Thank you for joining us. This is Stacy Painter of Stacy Painter Mastering. Now, Stacy, how did you get into this whole arena?
It all started when I was a kid. I started learning instruments. I started learning drums myself, and I actually took lessons for that, and then started playing acoustic guitar, started playing bass, started playing all this other stuff, and started playing in bands. And when I got my first keyboard, I was able to get the first tape cassette they had for recording. It was a Tascam something.
that goes back into,
Yeah.
We're getting a little history lesson here as well. So
yeah, it was a Tascam 4-track, and it was the first thing that you could buy of that nature back then. And I fell in love with it, because I was ability to sort of go into this, my own little world, and I'd just be there and blow hours away at a time, And
that's kind of neat. So you were able to practice your music, but you also quickly or early on got into the sort of the technology of how to capture music and form music.
Right. Yeah. And as years went by, the hardware and the actual recorders became a little bit better, and I think the next thing I got was an 8-track. So when I was got 8 tracks, I was like, oh my god, this is like insane. I was just thought it was like the biggest thing, and continued to just write and record a lot of my own music.
Hey, let me ask you, what type of music do you like creating?
So when I started first, there was no synthesizers out there, so I didn't have that. So I was mostly doing just guitar, bass, and drums and stuff like that, and then some vocals. But as time progressed, and got a little bit into the modern future here, I started really getting into EDM and house music. All that kind of stuff, because you had the ability to get plugins on computers, and that was the big game changer, because instead of having all these different synthesizers, you have these little programs in your computer that'll give you,
different sounds and different
absolutely.
everything. It gives you pretty much any sound you want, correct?
Essentially, yeah. It's great.
You're doing mastering work now. How'd you get into doing that?
Well, as my life went by and I became adult, a lot of my music stuff had to go by the wayside, just because I was, growing up. I had a family, had a job and stuff like that. So a lot of that went to the wayside. But as I got older and my kids have now sort of got out of my house, and I've got, I got to live that dream again. I professionally soundproofed my studio room, and put all that money into it, put a lot of money into the room, and was able to relearn Pro Tools, and so it was amazing, because I was that was my whole thing when I grew up. I wanted to be a rock star, and then I found out I just wanted to be a writer, writing music for something or somebody, and I was able to capture that dream again. And I went to a recording engineering school called the Reverse Engineer, and it was a 2-year program, and it's really intense, but I loved it, because it was teaching everything I want to do. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so when you work, the clients you get, are they bands who just need their final mix mastered? Do you help mix? How do you work with bands and help them along?
So it's all, it all depends on what the singer or the band wants and needs, and what they're looking for. I talked with some people where they just, I determined they just weren't ready for what I could provide, because their material was it wasn't high enough in quality. I'm not putting down the music, it's just you have to have a certain amount of professional recording in there before you can go any further, because it's just a waste of time and money. So but then you get people that have had professional recordings or something they've done themselves, and they'll send it to me, and usually I like to get a hold of them by a Zoom, and we'll talk about what they want, what they need, and what I can provide, and what I can do. And just I'm realistic with people about just I'm realistic. I'm not going to waste their time or mine if it's not enough.
Realistic sounds like up front and just saying it the way it probably is, and it's probably appreciated by people, even if it's sometimes not what they want to hear.
I could give them advice on how to deal with what the problem is. I can say, oh, you can re-record it and get whatever I need to do, and if there's some way I can help in just doing that.
Well, I think about this. It's like in a way, you're almost like a golf pro at the driving range, where a guy says, "I don't know why I can't hit it straight," and the golf pro isn't saying, he's saying, "You're do this different." Like it's something. Is it this? Am I oversimplifying this? Because sometimes, and again with golf pro, just face your feet 10 degrees this way, and all of a sudden that's all. Is that? Are those some of the ways you can help people, like make little corrections to what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I can just tell them, like, hey, listen, you just need to spend some money on somebody decently to record you, because a lot of times it can be issues with mics, having mics that can record, or the software was just not used properly, or wasn't a good software, and so that all can take I can take into account this is what I would do.
Yeah.
So.
Do you, and just so folks know, do you have sources if they, for instance, if it wasn't recorded well? Are you able to go, hey, you got to talk to this guy, you got to go to this studio?
Not really. It's mostly just stuff that they can deal with themselves.
Okay.
It's like, it's not too, in depth. It's just like, hey, this is what you need to do if you want to bring it back up to, a professional quality. So
how do you know you're done with a master? How do you know it's ready?
Well, I know a master's ready when it hits a certain process that I've gone through. If I've already mixed it too, that's better, because I can sort of see it grow and know where it's going from, at the very beginning of the process, and I can tell. My clients, they give me material we call reference tracks, so they can say, hey, I love this part, I love this bass sound, or I love this whole song, and this is what are the things I like about it, and then you can reference that, because what I think something should sound like is completely different than another person. So
sure. Yeah.
I'm using their reference tracks to really get the sound that they want.
But you kind of said it a second ago. You have the ears, you have the experience in terms of the the technological side of stuff, and you go back, and so
right.
I appreciate you sharing this with us. And hey, if you've got something you're working on, a project that you're looking to get mastered and taken out of the world, StacyPainterMastering.com. That's your website, right?
Yep.